Hey cousin, welcome to CoCo Conjure. Here we talk about all things hoodoo, folklore, and spiritual journeys. My goal is to give foundation to the novice and inspiration to the advanced practitioner. If you have not guessed already, my name is CoCo. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please make sure that you leave a like and a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe or follow wherever you are listening. I promise you we're going to have a good time today. Any magical practitioner worth their black salt or red brick dust knows that a foundational task to any functional spiritual magical practice is protection. I'd argue that it's a point of practice that is so essential that the pursuit of a protection working sometimes makes new practitioners a little skittish, because what do you need all this protection from? Who's trying to hurt you? Was grandma right and you out here conjuring demons and don't know what you're talking about? And I can understand why that's stressful. For most of our existence, we were raw dogging life, for lack of a better term. Just walking around without any fetishes or hands or mojos or colorful rocks to ward off evil. And now that we've been awakened to a more spiritual experience, we have a better understanding of what it is that we're walking into. And because we are magical beings, we have a better understanding of what we attract. I think what's worse about the conversation of protection in a spiritual, magical sense is that you get the nebulous answer of negative energies. I'm trying to protect myself and my home from negative energies. And I think we can all pretty much give a guess as to what we're talking about. Like, it's a part of the culture to say energy in place of things. But I think that in pursuit of practical and efficient workings, which I argue hoodoo is practical and efficient. And in pursuit of that, it's important that you have a very clear understanding of what you need protection from. And remember, like I said, we have in fact been raw dogging life most of the time. Unless you're starting it and you're listening to this at the age of 5, you've been walking through life just fine, or as fine as can be. And you've come to this spiritual magical journey out of calling, out of necessity, out of necessity for change, or to fulfill your interest in the occult. So you can go to the grocery store just fine without your veil, without your rock, and come home and there be no issues. Like that's okay, So there's no need to worry about that nebulous bad energy, negative energies in the air, at least from my perspective. A lot of times you need protection in certain situations, in certain places. For me, I tried to work with purpose. So I tried to really ask myself, protection from what? Protection when? Protection when I go where? And that really determines the kind of work I need. So it's no secret really that I just moved. And of course, setting up this new home, protecting my home is at the forefront of my mind. I spend most of my time at home, so it's important that my home is a temple and a place of peace and a place of prosperity and a place of joy. Like, that's very important to me, right? So I want to shield my temple from the folks that mean me no good, stop invited guests from bringing in their spiritual gunk, and I want alarms in place so I know when things are being sent my way, when I'm being targeted, whether that's targeted with deliberate witchcraft rooted, that kind of thing, or whether that's, the what do they say? Whether I'm catching strays, because someone's out here, my name's in their mouth and they're talking about me, or they're talking about someone who used to live here, like that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that my protection from my home will cover all of those things. The first thing I learned before I even identified as a hoodoo is that prayer and anointing is an easy method to accomplish this kind of job. When my parents moved into my childhood home, my great-grandmother anointed my parents and my sister, wandered from room to room, and prayed for peace and protection to prevail. My great-grandmother's faith in the God of Abraham was strong and it was powerful. So when she spoke her psalm and her prayer through the home, I know that she was heard. Now, I do not have such a strong faith in the God of Abraham. That's no secret. So if I were to adopt her method, I would go a few steps further. I would anoint my door frames and my windowsills with a chosen protection oil, probably one that I make myself. I would make sure that it includes herbs, resins that are really strong toward protection. When I make my own oils, I try to stick with the number 3. So that way I'm picking things that are very honed in on exactly what the purpose of this oil is, what the spiritual work I'm trying to do. I'm not someone who puts everything in the kitchen sink in her oil blends. One of the things I probably would add to that would be Holy Ghost root or Barbary root. I say it wrong every time. The reason for that Holy Ghost root is because the actual plant itself can be poisonous, like the leaves and the and it's thorny, and it's in its nature to protect. Another thing I would add to that would be rosemary, and then you could blend it yourself if you want, or just pray over the oil. But yeah, I would use a protection oil, anoint the door frames and the windowsills, and I would also probably pair it with a psalm. I spoke before in the episode Speak Easy that even though I'm not theistic, I'm very secular, I believe that there is power in words. And the more something is said, the more something is believed in, the more something is felt, like the words are felt, the stronger the words. So even though I'm not Christian, I would still probably use a psalm. The psalm that comes to mind is Psalm 91. I think the beginning of it is something like, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence," so on and so on. Like, it's a really good protection psalm. So I try to be very physical with my work, and the idea of anointing with marking my doors, my windowsills, all of my entrances, that's something that appeals to me. But a lot of people, I was going to say some people, that's not true. A lot of people will reach straight for the candle work. So you could do the same thing near your front door. You could anoint a candle of choice with your protection oil, and maybe write the petition like under the plate that it's on, and the petition can be your own words, or you can just write Psalm 91, right? And then you would just let it burn out. Now, if I did this, I would definitely use a 7-day candle with the glass And I would write the psalm on paper so that way I could stick the psalm under a doormat or above the door, like tuck it someplace where people don't see it. So that way now that psalm acts as a totem, right? And the candle, it was offering to your divine spirit or your home spirit or whatever it is you believe in. This way, you know, whoever walks across the threshold has to go past that psalm, has to go past that totem. You could take it a step further, and if you use a 7-day candle, you can break the glass of the candle. And if you are fancy enough to have a front yard, you can bury the glass in your front yard. It's said that when enemies or the work they send try to pass that glass after it's been worked over, it cuts up, whatever it is they're sending, or it cuts up your enemy's power. I don't know how many enemies y'all got, and I don't know why they would be coming to your home, but that is in fact something you can do. Other physical methods to protect the home is to run red brick dust at the entrances of your home or completely around your property. Now that's a traditional hoodoo trick. Folks nowadays tend to reach for the black salt, but I prefer red brick dust. I think that it's more potent, and it definitely has more of a connection to, ancestral work. And it's easy to make too. You just find a loose red brick and you take a hammer to it. I mean, you could go to the Botanica, go to the spiritual occult shop and buy red brick dust. But seriously, you just get a red brick and get a hammer and smash it. And they're easy to find, red bricks. There were a ton of red bricks at my old building before I moved. They painted the building like a yellow kind of color, but in the back of the building they did not paint it because it was facing like a creek or a creek, if you will. And I went back there to just to see what kind of flora was about, just to see what was going on back there one day, and I found just loose red bricks strewn across the path that had either fallen off the building or been replaced or whatever. And I took one home, cleaned it up, and smashed it, and had my own red brick dust. Easy. Y'all should have seen. There was an old lady and a granddaughter that was walking their dog, and they rolled up on me, whacking the heck out of this red brick in the back of my building. And collecting the dust in a jar. I know they thought I was a weirdo, but to their credit, they just went about their business, and I respect that. I love someone who can go about their business. Another physical work in Hoodoo in America, Zora Hurston talks about taking saltpeter and dissolving it in water and then sprinkling that around the home to ward off bad juju or malintent conjure. So witchcraft, basically. So that's another way to go. You can do the red brick dust, or you can do the saltpeter as a physical. You walk, around. You put your energy into it. Energy, not the nebulous woo-woo energy, but actual physical exertion into the work. Another old hoodoo technique to protect the home, and this is some deep south stuff, is painting your porch ceiling blue, but not just any blue, to paint it haint blue, right? There are many haint or hag stories talk about covering an entire home with blue, so that way the haints and the hags can't slip out of their skin and into your home all willy-nilly. Another method is to erect bottle trees in front of your home or on your porch, using blue glass bottles. You can either hang the bottle from a tree on your property, or you can create a statue, for a lack of a better word, I guess, with reclaimed wood. And you would just make sure that you would have it kind of like a Christmas tree, but like not so fluffy. And you would put the bottles, on each spoke of the wood, and you would place that outside of your home. This way, the haints and other no good spirits and the bad juju get trapped in the bottles and the tree instead of hitting your home. That's old school. That's an old school thing. In my travels around Maryland, in I think just in my general area of where I live, I've only ever seen one person with a bottle tree. They lived up in no man's land, like they, like very much in the country. So you know what they're about. um, Along with those methods, you can also place things inside or around your home that act as warning bells. I'm partial to brooms. Putting a broom face up near the door whenever something is sent to you, or something like a spirit is lurking around you, it gets trapped in the bristles, right? And if the broom falls over, that means that you just got hit with something that someone sent your way, or an unwanted guest is coming. The best to use a broom, it's best to use brooms with natural fibers. So you want to get a corn husk broom or a broom made of branches. I think corn husk brooms are kind of pricey, I'm not going to lie, but they are like, they're really, they're the broom with like the yellow bristles on the bottom. They're really heavy, really nice. They're worth it. And then of course you have your like cinnamon brooms made of tree branches. You can buy it yourself, or you can make it by collecting some sticks outside. But the cinnamon brooms, we're coming close to fall. They're going to be everywhere and they're going to be cheap. So if you don't have one, that's a perfect time to pick one up. I know the dollar store sells like, they would be considered besoms. They're like little tiny stick brooms with cinnamon or eucalyptus scented, that kind of thing. You could technically hang that above your door if you wanted to. But I prefer a nice like actual broom, because I also use this broom in other work. Like, so when I'm trying to sweep out and clear out my home and remove stuff from the home that's been generated by, me, or after I've had guests over. I was talking about brooms, natural fibers. Oh, if you have a green thumb, planting rosemary or roses or mint at your front door is a really good move to go. Those plants, those three plant allies, have a very strong protective spirit. I would say rosemary is my go-to though for those. I I caution you though. If you plant mint, do not plant it in the ground. If you plant mint in the ground, like once mint hits the ground, cousin, it's gonna spread and you're just gonna have a yard full of mint. Everything else is gonna die. Mint is invasive. Mint is aggressive. Mint likes to leap. It literally climbs out of its pot and attached to the ground. It likes to keep on trucking and put down roots. So if you get mint, make sure you put it in a pot, preferably one raised off the ground. So that way it doesn't, the roots don't come out the bottom of the drainage hole either. But yeah, if you use your mint and your roses and your rosemary, roses for the thorns, that's specifically what you're looking for. But if you use those three or whatever other protective plant you might like, you know that you were hit with someone sending something your way, or something like you attracted some hag or bad spirit with your work that you might have been doing in the home, because those plants will like take the hit for you and die. Either that or you have a brown thumb. It's one of the two. Yeah, I think that's all of the like home protections I can think of off the top of my head. For this episode, I was looking through various books to see if there was any spiritual work like that I may have forgotten or couldn't think of that was simple to do, because again, this is foundational. This is inspiration. This isn't like a full primer in protection work. And I came across this police keep away from your home in the text Hoodoo in America, written by ancestor Zora Hurston. She learned this from a New Orleans Protestant hoodoo doctor named Dr. Grant. And here's what you do. You bury 3 pieces of John the Conqueror at the gate. Before you bury it, you talk to it, you instruct it to keep the police away, right? Or, and this one is not as simple, you take an old razor and you slit the handle. You go to the graveyard and you fill the slit in the handle with graveyard dust and wrap it up. Then you bury the razor with the blade facing up. So the handle should go down and the blade is facing up. And the police will never come to your gate, apparently. That's Dr. Grant's 2, go-to methods for keeping the police away from your home. So if you need protection from the popo, there you go. I'm sure there's a lot more spiritual work to be done for protection of the home, but I think that's a good starting point. I feel like if you layer any number of those things, you have a really good foundation. I definitely would not rely on one thing alone. Definitely layer your work. That's really important. So that way, if one thing fails, you have another thing in place. Remember, it's about shielding. It's about protecting. It's about keeping away the unwanted. So you don't want just one thing. Okay, so another point of protection that we worry about the most is protection for the body, right? Say it's Thanksgiving and your super conservative Hotep cousin always got something slick to say about your very liberal lifestyle. Or maybe you're going into work and there's always that one coworker who literally oozes miasma out of their pores, right? And or maybe, you're not hoodoo only and you're walking into spiritual spaces and you want to be careful as to what sticks to you, and you want to armor up, right? In all of those situations, you want to armor yourself up. When it comes to situations where I know I'm going into contact with people who like to share misery. Y'all know who I'm talking about, those people. I'm a fan of wearing reflective jewelry. Reflective jewelry that's been blessed and anointed. Now, that's a personal CoCo thing. I've not read that anywhere. I've not, that's not some family lore that popped up. That's not a hoodoo thing. That is a personal CoCo thing. I like specifically silver jewelry, but it doesn't have to be silver. But I like to wear reflective jewelry, and I mean rings, necklaces, bracelets, earrings, reflective. Anything that's shiny and reflective. And it could have religious iconography, but it doesn't have to have iconography. So when I say iconography, what do I mean? I mean like the Nazar, or some folks might say the evil eye charm, right? That's an icon that's specifically meant to keep people's jealousy away from you. Or if you're religious, it could be a cross or the Eye of Horus, or, any of those things, a pentacle. Any of those things. I'm not religious, so you won't see me wear any of those things. I do have a Nazar ring, though. I do have one of those. I got that at a Greek festival. It was made by someone who is Greek, and it was I went to a like a service, witch meetup kind of thing. And I was talking about this with someone there, and a Hellenistic pagan blessed it for me. How nice of them. That's what I said. So, there's that. But yeah, reflective jewelry. The idea behind the reflective jewelry is that whatever is headed towards you will get redirected in the reflection. So it's all about mirror work, but like mobile and on you. Again, that's a CoCo thing. It's been tested and proven to work for me. I'm not claiming it as some old ancient hoodoo secret, right? That's just a CoCo thing. Just for you, I'm telling you. Wear your reflective jewelry. Blessing and anointing. You could read Psalm 91 with it in your hands. You can pray over it. You can anoint it with holy oil or protection oil, or whatever is best for your practice. I'm just saying that's my go-to move a lot of times when I know I'm going into spaces that are filled with people who are hostile by nature. I don't want it. I don't want it on me. I don't want to take it with me when I leave. Of course, going into spiritual spaces. So, for example, I did that meetup. When I went into that spiritual space, I had my ritual jewelry on or whatever, but I also wrapped my crown. Like I wrapped my head. I made sure my head was covered. The reason for that is because it was like a pagan meetup. It was, everyone was in this room, right? All different belief systems, all different magical systems were represented in this room. And because of that, I didn't want my personal spirit, the spirit in me, to be overwhelmed by what was being called in. Again, it's taking a hoodoo idea of spirit writing and covering your head and then placing it into this non-hoodoo situation. But yeah, so a lot of times you'll see people, they'll veil or they'll wear their head wraps because they're trying to protect their crown. They don't want any spirits to attach to their crown, or they are trying to make sure that their spirit doesn't get overwhelmed. That's a protection technique very specific to anyone who's sensitive to spirits, or here comes those air quotes again, sensitive to energies, if you will. Okay, so what is a very hoodoo thing to do is to craft a hand or a mojo for protection. That's normal. You can use red flannel, and you would fill it with protective herbs or fetishes and feed it with whiskey. Some protective plant allies, again, that rose thorns, the Holy Ghost root or the Barbary root, devil's shoestring, and High John the Conqueror. Devil's shoestring and High John you don't necessarily need to have in a flannel. I can understand why you would want to. It's kind of weird to just walk around with some roots in your pocket. But traditionally speaking, you would just put those in your pocket. In the next episode, I'll talk about High John, but the devil's shoestring, that's a root that's used to trip up bad juju or bad luck, like you tie the devil's shoestrings together. Yeah, it's really wiry. It looks like shoestrings. It looks like someone petrified shoestrings. So those are really good go-to allies for your mojo. If this protection is for other people, like to protect another person physically, you can bless their jewelry that they wear often. For example, you want to protect your marriage. You would bless and put a prayer on your wedding ring with so that way there's no undue outside influence. Again, this is taking a hoodoo concept and then applying it in a way that's not necessarily hoodoo. Like there's other ways to go about protecting your marriage, but this is the one that comes to my mind. That's again very CoCo thing. I'm all about armor. I'm all about my jewelry acting as armor. So You could do that. You could sneak a mojo into their car, like if they have a car, or into your child's bag um, when they go to school, that kind of thing. But ideally, if you're trying to protect others, you want to get a hold of their personal concern. Um, and if you get a hold of their personal concern, you might create or dress a doll with it. And then using sympathetic magic, you would work the doll. You can feed the person, like the actual physical person, the real person, a meal using rosemary or mint from your front garden that you just planted to protect your home. Like all of those things are ways that you could protect someone else physically. You can feed them the protection. You can anoint, bless them, again, prayer over them, have some sort of totem or fetish or mojo or jewelry that they keep with them all the time. Those are all ways to protect from just, something they might walk into, the bad luck they might walk into walking outside. Or if you know that they're going on a journey. Oh, if they're going on a journey, Ancestor Zora Hurston, she wrote in her essay, Hoodoo in America, she said, hold on. I do this every time. I did not grab the book. Hold on. Okay. She says, take a new piece of white cloth, 3 inches square, put the name of the person leaving, write that 3 times, and then you want to wrap 3 cents in it. The coins are to pay for their way back home. Then you would tie the cloth with colored thread. She says lavender is best. And then you want to put it in an oil lamp so it saturates with oil. And then you want to light the oil lamp and let it burn very dim. So that way your loved one will return home to you safely. There you go. I have a cousin who's getting ready to go into the army. That would be a really interesting thing to do for her after she finishes basic and when she gets deployed. So yeah, that's another way that you can protect someone else. Okay, so to finish up here, I asked Big Sis to share with us her personal protection ritual. Big Sis is very intuitive in her magic and uses all techniques and tools at hand. Very, not just hoodoo, very, very eclectic person. I thought this would give some of you guys some inspiration if you wish to layer up any of the techniques I talked about, or you want to create your own personal spiritual work from scratch. So here it is. This is Big Sis's this is Protect Your Home by Big Sis. So the first thing you need is you need an herb bundle. Big Sis prefers sage. I would suggest rosemary. Either one will work. You need a plate. The plate needs to be white or reflective. The plate is white or reflective. You need a black taper candle and a white taper candle. Those charm candles or the Wicca Wicks candles will work just fine. A protection oil of your choice. Big Sis gets hers from Art of the Root, if that's where you would like to get yours as well. She uses Fiery Wall of Protection, or you can create your own, however. You need holy oil or hyssop oil. I make the holy oil. If you want to create hyssop oil, you literally just need hyssop and olive oil and let sit for like 7 days. It's not that hard. You need a mortar and pestle or a coffee grinder. You need protection herbs of choice. You need black salt or red brick dust. You need white salt. And you need 4 protection crystals or religious icons or totems, 4 of them. You need a lighter or matches. And lastly, you need a protection floor wash. You could make this floor wash yourself using your protection herbs with a little alcohol or a little a little alcohol and water, or Big Sis says that she gets hers again from Art of the Root. So here are the instructions. Use the herb bundle to smoke out your space. You move through the house from back to front or in a counterclockwise motion. Double points if you can do both back to front and counterclockwise. And then once you've reached your front door, you want to invite in your spirit guides, your ancestors, and your higher powers. Next, in the mortar and pestle, you want to grind your protection herb of choice into a dust. Next, you want to anoint the black candle with your protection oil, and you want to anoint your white candle with the holy oil or the hyssop oil. Then you want to roll the candles in the protection herb dust that you've created, and you're going to affix the candles to the plate. Fifth step. Around the candles that you've just erected, you're going to make a circle using either the black salt or red brick dust. Then around that, you're going to make a larger circle using the white sea salt. Then you're going to place your crystals or your religious icons in the four corners of the plate. You're going to place everything near your front door or in the spiritual center of your home. For Big Sis, both of those happen to be her kitchen. And then you're going to light your candles. Now, as your candles burn down, you're going to wash your doors, your floors, your windows with the protection wash. During this point, you can say your prayers. You can speak to the home. You can speak to your guides. You speak the protection over yourself. Big Sis also says that she plays the frequency 77 hertz, that kind of stuff, music on YouTube to fill the home up. Once you've finished, you're going to dispose of the wax, the salt, and the dirty water away from the home and strategically place those crystals or the religious icons around your home. Now, this ritual can be done at any time, and it's designed to not just protect the home from spiritual malice coming your way, bad luck, bad juju, witchcraft, hags, hates, whatever, but it's also designed to clear your space, like to remove whatever is in there. So it's a clear and protect, two for one. It's not inherently hoodoo, okay? Definitely not inherently hoodoo, but it is definitely adaptable to your spiritual needs, whatever those might be. Thank you, Big Sis, for taking the time to explain that to me. Like I said, Big Sis, her and I are so different magically. I'm very much a let me go look it up, let me go see, let me go find it somewhere, let me find precedents, let me then take that, be a little creative and adapt it to my purposes. Big Sis is very intuitive when how she works. Her magic is very much at her fingertips at all times. So the very fact that I was able to get her to just sit down for a second and put into words what it is she does step by step, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful because it's so counter to how she likes to work. So thank you so much, Big Sis. If you're listening, I appreciate you doing that for me. I really appreciate you for doing that. Okay, so recap. We've gone over how to protect the home, how to protect your body. If you are intuitive like Big Sis and you just want to use what's around you, all the techniques, no matter the magic system at your fingertips, I encourage you to use Big Sis protection ritual as a template and then build from there. I think if you will probably come up with something that's really good for you, very efficient, very protective for you. If you would like to be a little more traditional, then I would encourage you to check out Harry Hyatt and Zora Hurston for their traditional protection spiritual work, or to either influence how you create your own or to recreate step by step. I want to remind you, though, that with traditional hoodoo, it's not going to say protection spiritual work, right? Like, you have to know what you are protecting, why you're protecting, who you're protecting from. All of those things will definitely inform how you look and what you find. Do you want a safe return for your loved one? Do you want to stop gossip and jealousy? So we're trying to stop that evil eye. Do you want to shield yourself from other spiritual workers? Do you want to trip up spiritual workers when they enter your yard? Like, all of these things require different techniques and tools when it comes to traditional hoodoo, and protection from negative energy as a starting point is not going to go the way that you would like it to go. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to happen for you. All right. So at this point in the podcast, I like to answer a question from the Facebooks, the Reddits, the boards, the interwebs. So this question says, what type of protection spell is needed to protect your health? I recently went to a past life regressionist who told me that my empathy and ability to channel is what causes illness and injury. She said that being such an open conduit, portal, whatever word you want to use, invites every type of frequency in, both good and bad. And ever since I could remember, I would get sick from random illnesses. I have PCOS and endometriosis, and got sick from a booster shot and have clumsy accidents that result in injury all the time. Most recently, I was carrying a box of bottles when they all came out of the box and I hurt my foot and needed stitches. It was a freak accident that definitely could have been avoided. That night, I dreamt I had an evil eye bracelet that broke into pieces as well. Based on what she said, I think I need to protect myself, but what warding would be best? Shielding, regular protection charms, and bottles. How do I protect myself to keep from getting sick and injured? So this is a two-pronged thing for me. One, to spiritually protect yourself, if you have gifts, I would say you would need to cover your head to keep things out of your spirit, like to keep from picking up things. Definitely a head covering would help. There are other non-hoodoo methods that I've heard of, such as like visualization techniques with bubbles or like actual shields up, like all sorts of things. But I think the easiest and the one I would more likely to go to would be to cover my head if I had that problem. The second is that I'm not saying that spirits cannot affect your physical health. I do think that when your spirit is disrupted, your physical health takes a hit. But I do think that it would be easier to go towards physical remedies than try to bottle up or throw a mojo bag together some spiritual protection for your physical ailments, right? That's doctrine 101, right? Like, you need to make sure that the remedy fits the problem. So if you find that you get sick easily, I would take a look at your diet. Are you getting enough vitamins, minerals, right? Your immune system is a little weak. What can we do to boost your immune system? What foods would be helpful for that? Colorful foods are helpful for that. Orange foods, yellow foods, red foods, those are all good for that. If you have PCOS, talk to your doctor. You know, is there a medication that you can take? Is there a special diet regimen that would be best to go on? I also have issues with my reproductive system, and I found that if I stay away from like heavy fatty foods, if I stick to lean meats, if I stick to my fruits and vegetables, and I limit the amount of carbohydrates and sugars I allow into my body, I regulate better. But that's a me thing. That's me working out with my doctor. I would suggest that you go to your doctor to figure that out. But I think it's a diet thing when it comes to illness. How frequently are you washing your hands? Like that kind of stuff. Like, I know that sounds like so not magical, but that's really much a part of it. Healing yourself holistically does not just mean putting together a mojo or putting together a spell or getting a prayer said over you. Holistic healing has everything to do with what you intake into your body, what you do with your body. Are you moving? Are you getting out, getting fresh air? Are you only going out, on occasion? Like, are you boosting your immune systems? That's more important, I think, than herbs in a bag. As flippant as that sounds. As far as the accidents go, that could be that you step in some bad luck. That could be someone sent something your way, but more likely than not, you're just clumsy. So you should be careful. Like, you need to be careful out there. So yeah, I would say that for the spiritual stuff, I would go toward the head covering. I would go toward, even if you feel like the clumsiness is a result of evil eye, that you get the Nazar pendant, or you make some sort of charm to carry on yourself. You wear reflective jewelry. But when it comes to like your health, and I don't think a protection spell is what's needed. I think you need to address the issues, and you can address that holistically with changing your diet, with the type of movement that you do, by seeing your doctor, right? I don't think we should you can't always prescribe a spiritual remedy to a physical problem. That doesn't always work. Okay. Last question. This one comes from Facebook. It says, I need help, guys. So for about 4 days now, this random black cat has been at my back door meowing rather loudly. When I open the door, it tries to approach me. I don't believe black cats are bad luck. Does anyone have any other explanation? I'm thinking someone in the ancestral realm is trying to contact me, or was it sent for protection? I don't know. Sure. You have been selected by the cat redistribution team, and this black cat no longer wants to reside in these streets. It does not want to be caught at midnight and boiled alive for the black cat bone. It would like to come inside and eat something delicious and sit on your lap. So if you could please get this cat to the vet and make sure it's, had a flea tick bath. See if it has feline IV. I think it's called FIV, which is like feline HIV. And make sure it's in good health, and then give that cat a home. I promise you, it might not provide protection, but she sure will give you companionship. Okay. So thank you so much for staying with me to the end. I appreciate all of you. I am blessed to have you with me. If you have not done so already, please give this video a like or subscribe. Please share it with someone who you think might be interested in this kind of thing. I hope I gave everyone a good jumping off point for protection. I hope that you think about protection not just as this nebulous, bad energies, but really think about what it is that you want protection from, and what you might be attracting with the work that you do in your home or outside of your home, and how you can best shield yourself from malintended spirits or from malintended workers. Before we go, cousin, I just want to let you know, you deserve the world. You deserve to have a home that is a temple filled with peace and blessing. You deserve to walk through this life without getting anybody else's miasmic gunk on you. You deserve to be spoken of highly and with love and with care. And I want to let you know that if you call for your blessings, they will come to you. I'll see you guys next time.